They told us it was done. They looked us dead in the eyes through every promo, every tweet, every carefully crafted PR statement, and they said the Shield was finished. Roman Reigns was the tribal chief now. He didn't need Seth. He didn't need Jon Moxley. He was bigger than the Shield. The era was over. Move on. And you know what? A lot of you believed it. A lot of you accepted it. You put the Shield in a glass case, put it on the shelf next to your action figures and your old pay-per-view programs, and you convinced yourself that some things in wrestling just don't come back the right way. That reunions are cheap. That nostalgia is a trap. Well, Nick Aldis just blew that glass case into a million pieces on Smackdown. And I need you to understand something before we go any further. What happened on that Smackdown is not just a wrestling angle. This is not just a cheap pop. What Nick Aldis revealed is going to reshape the entire landscape of WWE in ways that the casual fan is completely unprepared for. And if you think I'm exaggerating, stick around. Because by the end of this video, you're going to be in your comments section losing your mind just like I was when I watched it back for the third time. Let's get into it. Segment 1, set the stage. Who are the Shield and why this matters? For those of you who need a quick history lesson, and trust me, even if you've been watching for years, this context is going to hit different today. The Shield debuted in November 2012. 3 men, black tactical gear. They came through the crowd. No music at first. No pyro. No elaborate entrance. Just 3 wolves moving in formation, and the moment they hit that ring together, you could feel the energy shift in the building. Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, Dean Ambrose. They weren't just a faction. They were a force. A perfectly constructed unit where every piece made the others better. Roman was the wrecking ball, the physical specimen who could take on anyone and make it look like destiny. Seth was the architect, the guy who could out-wrestle, outthink, and outperform almost anyone on the planet. And Dean, chaotic, unpredictable, beautifully unhinged Dean Ambrose was the wild card that made the whole thing terrifying. You couldn't game plan against the Shield because you could never fully account for what Dean was going to do next. Together, they ran WWE. Not in a creative booking sense, in a real dominance sense. They made people believe again. They gave a generation of wrestling fans their version of what DX was to the Attitude Era, what the Four Horsemen were to NWA loyalists. The Shield was their thing. And when they broke up, when Seth drove that steel chair into Roman's spine on that Raw in June 2014, it wasn't just a heel turn. It felt like a betrayal of the fans themselves. We were watching something sacred get destroyed on purpose. The reunions that followed were exciting, yes. The 2017 to 2018 Shield runs gave us moments. The triple powerbomb through the announce table? Chills. Every single time. But something was always slightly off, a piece missing, a part of the formula diluted by the individual trajectories these men were on by then. Roman was becoming the head of the table. Seth was evolving into something entirely his own. Mox had gone to AEW, come back, gone again, come back again, a man whose spirit couldn't be contained by one company or one identity. So when WWE quietly let the dream breathe its last breath, when nobody was talking about the Shield anymore with any real urgency, a lot of us accepted the silence. That silence just got shattered. Segment 2, what Nick Aldis revealed on Smackdown, full breakdown. Now let's talk about what actually happened, because the details here matter enormously. Nick Aldis, Smackdown general manager, a man who has been quietly becoming one of the most compelling authority figures WWE has had in years, stepped in front of that Smackdown camera with the kind of energy that immediately told you something was different. This wasn't a routine GM segment. This wasn't, here are tonight's matches. Aldis had weight in his eyes. He had that look that people in power get when they're about to say something they know will outlast the moment. And then he said it. The Shield. Together. Again. Now, depending on where you're watching this, depending on what sources you've been reading, the exact framing of how Aldis positioned this announcement may vary slightly. But the essence of what he communicated was this: the Shield is not just a memory. The Shield is not just a merchandise line. Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, and Jon Moxley, in whatever capacity WWE can bring them together, are being woven back into the same storyline thread for the first time in years in a way that actually has stakes. Aldis didn't frame it as a reunion special. He didn't frame it as a one-night-only moment designed to spike the ratings for one particular episode and then get quietly dropped 2 weeks later like it never happened. He framed it as something with consequences. Something with direction. Something that means the future of Smackdown and potentially the future of multiple championship pictures runs through what the Shield does next. And that, right there, is what makes this different from every other time we've been teased with this idea. Segment 3, why the timing is absolutely perfect and absolutely calculated. Let's not be naive here. Nothing in WWE happens by accident. Everything is a calculation, sometimes a brilliant one, sometimes a catastrophically bad one, but always deliberate. So why now? Why is Nick Aldis making this revelation at this moment in WWE history? Think about where we are right now. Roman Reigns has been in a complicated position. The Tribal Chief character, one of the greatest long-term character arcs in WWE history, genuinely, no hyperbole, has been at a crossroads. The Bloodline saga that defined years of storytelling fractured, reformed, fractured again. Roman's relationship with Sami Zayn gave us some of the most emotionally compelling television WWE has produced in over a decade. His conflict with Cody Rhodes gave us WrestleMania moments for the history books. But there's a hunger now. A question mark hanging over Roman's next chapter. The Tribal Chief needs something new, not a new opponent necessarily, but a new context, a new fire. Seth Rollins, meanwhile, has been burning at full intensity. The visionary, the revolutionary, call him whatever you want, Seth has been one of the most consistently excellent performers on the entire WWE roster. But even Seth, in his brilliance, knows that certain things can only be unlocked when you're standing next to your brothers. There are levels to Seth Rollins that only the Shield can bring out. And Moxley, Jon Moxley, back in WWE full-time or in a substantial capacity, is the kind of wildfire that changes every room he enters. The man has grown into something genuinely terrifying in the best possible way. He's not the same Dean Ambrose that left. He is something rawer, more dangerous, more honest. A Shield reunion with 2025-era Moxley involved isn't a nostalgia act, it's a revelation. So Aldis making this announcement now when all three men are at or near their individual peaks in terms of character depth is either perfect timing or perfect manipulation. And honestly, in wrestling, those two things are often the same. Segment 4, the questions everybody's asking, let's address them. I know what some of you are thinking right now. I can literally feel the comments forming in your head as you watch this. So let me address the big ones head on. Is this just going to be a one-off thing that goes nowhere? That's the fear, right? That WWE is going to wave the Shield flag, get the reaction, and then quietly move all three guys back into their separate lanes by the time the next pay-per-view rolls around. It's happened before. We've been burned before. I understand the skepticism. But here's why I think this time is different, and this is important. Nick Aldis is the one making the announcement. Not a random backstage segment. Not a social media graphic. The general manager of Smackdown, on Smackdown, in a structured, deliberate way. That's not how WWE handles throwaway angles. That's how they plant seeds they intend to grow. Can they recapture the magic? This question actually makes me a little frustrated because it assumes the Shield reunion has to be about capturing something old. The best version of a Shield reunion isn't them trying to recreate 2012. It's three evolved, battle-hardened men who know exactly who they are now, standing together with all of that weight behind them. That's not nostalgia. That's power. Where does this leave the Bloodline? Excellent question, and honestly the most fascinating part of all of this. Because if Roman Reigns steps back into Shield territory even partially, it creates an extraordinary tension with everything he built as the Tribal Chief. How does that reconcile? Does it? The potential story complexity there is genuinely exciting. Segment 5, what this means for WWE's future, the big picture. Here's what I want you to think about as we wrap up, and I want you to really sit with this. The Shield reunion isn't just about three guys putting on matching gear and hitting triple powerbombs again, although yes, we absolutely want that, let's not pretend otherwise. What Nick Aldis revealed on Smackdown is the beginning of a new chapter in WWE's ongoing story of legacy, of what it means when you build something together, tear it apart, survive separately, and then find your way back to each other as completely different and completely dangerous versions of yourselves. Roman Reigns walking back into a Shield context after everything he's been through as the Tribal Chief is one of the most dramatically rich scenarios WWE could possibly explore. Seth Rollins, who literally drove a chair into Roman's spine, standing next to him again, the history, the guilt, the unspoken reconciliation that would have to underpin that storytelling. Real storytelling. And Moxley. Man, Jon Moxley in a Shield context in 2025 WWE is the kind of thing that should have every wrestling fan's hair standing on end. Because that man does not do anything halfway. He doesn't show up to be a prop in someone's nostalgia trip. If Moxley is in, Moxley is in. And whatever that looks like, it will be unlike anything you were expecting. Nick Aldis dropped a bomb on Smackdown. And I genuinely believe the fallout from that bomb is going to be one of the defining storylines of WWE's next era. Outro: direct audience engagement. So here's where I need you. Drop a comment right now, don't wait until the end of the video, do it now and tell me, do you believe this Shield reunion is going to deliver? Or have we been hurt too many times to trust it? Are you team this is the greatest thing WWE has done in years? Or are you team I've seen this movie and I know how it ends? Because this comment section is about to be a war. And I want to read every single one of your takes. If you're a real Shield fan, if you felt something the first time you heard that intro hit, if you still get chills when you see that fist bump, you already know what to do. Share this video. Right now. Send it to the one person you know who will absolutely lose it when they hear this news. Because they deserve to know. And they deserve to have this breakdown to go along with it. I'm Ring Rumble 1. This is where the real wrestling talk happens. And I'll see you in the next one.